Well, hello, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Capital Connection. I'm joined here by Representative Gil Isbell of House District 28. Representative Isbell, we have had an exciting week down at the State House this week and really an exciting session so far. But before we get into some of our topics today and some of the bills we want to talk about, I'd like to share with our listeners a little bit about you and House District 28 and maybe even how you got involved in the legislature.
That'll be great, and thank you for having me here today. I live in Gadsden, which is in Etowah County. That's House District 28. When I decided to run, I had some people come to me because I do a lot of charity work, but the reason I ran to begin with is because I wanted to give back of my time, and that's the best way to show that you care about where you live. Now, I guess from a personal standpoint, I'm married. I've been married for 12 years. Cindy, she has a place called the Stone Market. It's a wine and gift shop. And my daughter, who's 11, she's in the 6th grade and goes to Gadsden Middle. Her name's Iris Ann. And I work for my brother, who's a dentist. And my nephew works there. And they also have another dentist that's there as well. But he has 2 offices, and I help them with that.
Okay, very good. So you got involved in a little bit of charity work and also helping your wife run the market up there in
No, it's
Gadsden,
hers for sure. That's
okay. I'm sure she keeps you busy though, doesn't she?
I try to help her if she asks.
Okay.
But she doesn't like unsolicited advice.
I can understand that. So one of the things that we're working on down here in Montgomery this session is House Bill 415. That's a bill that you're helping us out with and that you're carrying there for us. The bill really relates to business licenses and the county's ability to charge farmers a business license in order to sell their products. Talk to us a little bit about the bill and exactly what that does.
Well, it is for the bill is about farmers, and it's about being charged licenses, and basically this will basically explain that counties cannot charge a license to a farmer if they are selling their own product. If they buy a product from another party and sell it, they will have to get a license. And what this does, this puts it on the same level with municipalities, and it's outlined in the code as the municipalities cannot charge license, and this just clarifies that a county cannot charge, whether it's for a business license, a peddler's license, or some other type of fee.
Okay, so you're saying that municipalities already are not allowed to charge farmers a business license, and really counties are not allowed to charge farmers a business license. So what's the need for this bill? Is there some confusion out there?
Yes, there's confusion, and I think it goes back to the 1930s when the code was put together at that time regarding licensing, and it had to do with fruit dealers. And this just clarifies that a fruit dealer is somebody that sells a third party's produce or product, and they should be charged a business license. However, this just gives very good clarity that a farmer, if he or she sells their own product, they should not be charged a license or a fee.
Well, that certainly makes sense. It sounds to me, Representative Isbell, like this bill really is just clarifying and affirming existing law that municipalities are not allowed to charge our farmers a business license. Counties have a list of the folks that they are allowed to charge a business license for. Farmers are not one of those activities. Folks engaged in the activity of farming are not authorized to be charged a business license. However, those dealers are. And those dealers are going to be folks who are buying product out there somewhere in the market. They're not raising the product. They're not growing the product. They're going out and purchasing it, and then they are trying to resell that product at a later date. So we certainly appreciate all of the work that you're doing with this bill. We hope that this bill helps provide a little bit of clarity, not only for our farmers to know that they can get out and actively engage in business and in farming, but also for our counties. We want them to know, hey, you don't have to worry about a gray area here of a fruit dealer. It's explicitly stated now in the code, hopefully, should this bill pass, that you cannot charge farmers a business license. So give us an update on where the bill is now.
Well, we have gotten it out of committee, and now it will go upstairs to the Senate.
Okay.
And at that point in time, the Senate will it'll go to committee, and I'll represent it in the Senate committee. And then once it passes there, it'll go to the Senate floor, and we'll have a senator that will carry it. Then after that, and I think they will, because they want to support our state's farmers, because they're an important part of our state. It actually one of the largest, I guess, business entities. I think farming is an $80 billion business, I think, overall in the state. and it's very important for us, and we want to help the farmers as much as we can.
Yeah, agriculture is certainly very important to the state of Alabama's
Yes.
economy and to so many folks, especially back home in Etowah County. So we greatly appreciate your help on House Bill 415 and all of the work that you're doing to help us carry that.
Well, I'm honored to carry it, and I appreciate you guys, working with me to get it done. And of course, we had a lot of people at the table. We worked out some issues, and that's the way the process it should work. And I think we have a good bill, and it will help the farmers.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for tuning in to the Capital Connection. Next up, you're going to get a chance to hear from Preston Roberts, Director of Ag Legislation here at the Farmers Federation, and Representative Wes Kitchens while they talk about grain bins. I'm Russ Durrance, Director of State Legislative Programs at the Farmers Federation, joined today by Representative Gil Isbell, House District 28. Thank you.
Hey everybody, Preston Roberts here, Director of Agricultural Legislation. We're joined today by Representative Wes Kitchens, who represents House District 27 up in Marshall County. Representative Kitchens is a great friend of this organization. Representative Kitchens, we appreciate you joining us.
Well, thanks for having me today. I
Oh,
always
yeah.
enjoy coming out here.
Well, hey, we're on the last day of the week of the session, so I know you're anxious to get back to North Alabama, so we appreciate you spending time with us in here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, you're pretty unique in the legislature in that you're both a farmer and an insurance agent. And those are two industries that are very important to us, obviously. So tell us a little bit about your background, and I know our members would love to hear about your little farm operation.
Well, I've had a small cattle farm. Of course, the legislature takes up a little bit of the time away from it. As any farmer knows, the cows never get out at a convenient time, and when they're down in Montgomery, when I'm down here, it seems like that's when my cows always get out. But I have an independent insurance agency there in Arab, and also have a connection to Alpha too. A lot of our members will probably remember my granddad, Gerald Smalley. Some of my first meetings that I ever started coming to were Alpha meetings. When I was 4 and 5 years old, I was coming with him, and of course my Uncle Dan Smalley, both very involved in the Federation and with Alpha for many, many years, and it got me interested in politics.
Yeah, well, hey, you have been just an outstanding friend, and we appreciate all that you do. And you have been a huge help on an issue that we've had here recently, dealing with taxation of grain bins. You're carrying House Bill 400, which kind of clarifies some of the tax law on grain bins. Can you give us a little bit of overview on what that bill does?
Well, on farm implements, tractors and other implements, they're tax exempt. But an issue that we've had around the state is we've seen that some of the grain storage facilities are being taxed, like a barn or other things that may be out there, structure. And we just don't think that that's quite fair to our farmers, that they need to have those bins on their location. They need to be able to have the opportunity to sell their products when the market's best for them. So House Bill 400 specifically says that anything that is used solely for the purpose of storing the grain, drying it, those type facilities, that it would be considered tax exempt. That way, county to county right now, some counties tax them differently than others, so that way it specifies in state law and in code that those would be tax exempt.
Well, it's so important, and we appreciate you carrying that. And another thing that I would add to that, and you're exactly right, it definitely helps the producer to be able to sell that grain when the price is most favorable, instead of having to sell it immediately when it comes off the farm. So that's a huge component. Another component that I think is a big benefit is our poultry industry. Alabama's got a tremendous poultry industry, and we would love all of our grain to go to feed those chickens, and this allows us to do a better job of facilitating those feed mills and being able to hold that grain and send it to the feed mills when they're ready for it.
That's right, and of course in Marshall County, my family, they were in the poultry industry, and they had the chicken farm there in Marshall County right outside of Arab. And there's always a backlog, it seems, at some of these feed mills. So this will be a great way to help our poultry industry, but also help some of our other farmers as well.
Absolutely. Well, tell me where we are in the process of this bill.
So So this bill passed out of committee, so it was in the House Ag and Forestry Committee on Wednesday, passed out of committee, and we're expecting to get it up on the floor hopefully soon. I know we've been talking with House leadership, and it's a bill that's important to them, so we're hoping that it'll be called up and get a vote on the floor within the next few weeks.
Great. Now, what can our members do if we have somebody that's watching who has grain storage facilities and would like to get engaged in this issue? What can they do to get engaged?
Well, I think one of the best things is reach out to your local legislator. I know I heard from our local farmers, I heard from people that this directly affects, and that's the best thing for us as a legislator. When we hear from people that have an issue and we hear from something when we're trying to work on a solution, we had some questions in committee that came up. A few people asked a few things that didn't quite understand what we were trying to do on it, but I think that the best thing is when we have somebody locally, when I have a phone call from somebody that I know that lives down the street, when they call me directly, they're able to tell me what the issue is, and we're able to have a little bit better understanding when it gets to the floor for a vote.
That local touch is important.
It's very important, and y'all do a great job with it.
Well, thank you. Well, hey, we appreciate you so much, and we know that you understand the issues very acutely that farmers deal with because you're one of us, and so we appreciate all that you do. Well, guys, thank you for joining us. Again, this is Preston Roberts, Director of Agricultural Legislation with the Alabama Farmers Federation. Have a great weekend.